Hi, I'm Gary Mayer, Vice President of Public Relations and Legislative Affairs for MAPSA. In the next few moments, we're going to talk about the state school aid budget, the federal stimulus package, and give you information you need for the planning for your school. Let's first take a look at the 09 school aid budget. Because of a dramatic decline in the state's economy, there is a projected shortfall in this year's school aid budget that has required the legislature to pass and for the department to implement a per pupil reduction in the foundation grant for every public school in Michigan. This reduction is approximately $370 per student. So for the average charter school with an enrollment of 430 students, this equates to roughly $160,000 reduction. That reduction is going to be implemented by taking 90% of the reduction, or $144,000, out of your July state aid payment, and the remaining 10%, or $16,000, out of your August payment. Again, these numbers reflect the average charter enrollment of 430 students. Your actual numbers will be higher or lower based on your enrollment. Because of this dip, though, in the state budget, we are able to replace those funds with available education stabilization funds from the federal stimulus package, or the ARRA. Every Michigan public school is eligible to receive the same amount of federal funds for the current fiscal year that match the reduction in the state aid, meaning for the average charter school with an enrollment of 430 students, you will be eligible to receive $160,000 in education stabilization dollars. Now, how do you need to access these dollars? It's very important that schools recognize that the deadline to apply for these dollars is July 31st of 2009. All you need to do is go to the Michigan Department of Ed's website, which is www.michigan.gov/MDE-grants. And go to that website and you will see an allocation estimate for your school district and what is a very simple, short application for accessing these funds. These federal funds can be used for any purpose that is approved within the federal ESEA legislation, which is the predecessor to No Child Left Behind. Our understanding is that there are very few activities that you will have done this year that don't qualify to be paid or reimbursed with these federal dollars. When you apply for these and are approved for these funds, that money from a cash flow perspective will actually come to you more rapidly than would the state aid that it is replacing. So that's important for this year. And as we look at the next fiscal year, we can project, and the Senate has passed a budget that concurred with the House, we can project a reduction in available state aid for schools equal to roughly $500 per student. So again, if the average charter school had an enrollment of 430 students, you'd be looking at a reduction next year in state aid of $215,000. Because of the federal stimulus package, however, there will be funds available to affect that decrease. Next year, the average school in Michigan, or every school in Michigan, will have access to roughly $370 per student for the year to cover much of that shortfall. So for the average charter school, that would be about $168,000 against a reduction on the state side of about $215,000. This means that for fiscal year 2010, when you combine the state aid and the federal stimulus money, you will have an effective net reduction of about $110 per student available to you, which for the average charter school with an enrollment of 430 students would be about $47,000. Schools need to plan for that reduction. They need to plan for the reduction in the following fiscal year, which will be at least as high as the reduction in 2010, unless some dramatic things happen more positively in our economy. I realize that might have more questions on your mind than you have answers. We would hope that you would go to the Michigan Department of Education's recovery website, and there you will find a series of Q&A documents that will answer questions about the budget stabilization, about the general ARRA program, and you'll also find a resource document that lists all of the correct contact people in the department and outside of the department to help you with this process. Also, on the third topic, I wanted to discuss Project Reimagine, which is a voluntary, competitive grant process. The Department of Education is looking for up to 20 demonstration districts to put into a giant application to go to the Secretary of Education in Washington as part of his Racing for the Top initiative. And we are looking to include charter schools in that process. You need to be aware that an individual charter school cannot apply for this funding, but must do so through your authorizer or an authorizer. And the authorizer must submit an application that is broader in scale than any single school building. So we're looking to provide a partnership or a consortium between multiple charter schools with other partners, be it universities or community colleges or hospitals or banks or businesses. What we're looking for are applications that will wow the selection committee. And the deadline for applying for Project Reimagine is August 14th, 2009. If you have an interest in this process, we urge you to participate in the 90-minute webinar that will be hosted by the Department of Education on Tuesday, June 30th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The address for that webinar is michigan.gov/MDE Reimagine. Again, I know there are more questions than answers. This is just the most up-to-date information we can give you for planning. If you have further questions, we urge you to check out the department's website, come to the MAPSA website where all of the documents are also loaded, but please consider giving me a call at 517-374-9167 or sending me an email at gnayert@charterschools.org. That's gnayert, GNAEYAERT @charterschools.org. And I'd be happy to answer additional questions that you might have. Thank you for the time in watching this podcast, and others will follow in the future as major information and issues develop. Thank you very much.